What's up, everybody? It's your boy Devon Taylor here, aka Deezus, and this is my podcast, Deezus Take the Reel. No, this is not a religious podcast. It's a podcast where I'm talking movies, we're talking life, we're talking all sorts of crazy shit. And this is a very weird, creepy, special bonus episode for you guys as I return with my life from the Overlook Film Festival, and I'm going to tell you all about it. You like that new intro with a little sauce on it? I've been messing around with the mixer for the past hour and a half, just turning knobs and shit and seeing what I could figure out. So, you might have a little cool little something at the end of this episode. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Deezus here, and like I said, this is a bonus episode. This is a very exciting bonus episode because I had a crazy thing happen last week. I came back from the Overlook Film Festival a couple days ago, and it was fucking amazing. This thing was so much fun. I met so many awesome people. I got to watch some dope movies. I got to do amazing interviews and Q&As and stuff, which I will bring to you in this episode. I will go ahead and review some of the movies that I saw, but then I'll also give you guys some of the interviews. I have some very special guests on for this episode. It is going to be so much fun, guys. But first of all, I gotta tell you how this shit went down, because the story of how this all happened is gonna be just as good as this episode, pretty much. So, let's flash back about a month and a half ago, or maybe not even a month and a half ago, about 5 weeks ago. I'm listening to Nightmare on Film Street, which shout out to them. I have a little blurb from them here in a bit. But so I'm listening to their podcast, and they're talking about the Overlook Film Festival that they're going to, and they're describing it, talking about all the movies, and that there were going to be some immersive games and VR experiences and all sorts of crazy shit. And I was like, man, that sounds fucking dope. And it was up in Oregon. I'd never been to Oregon before, so I was like, you know what? This sounds pretty cool. So I started doing some research, and I was like, man, I wonder if there's any way I could still make it to this festival. And I was real stoned one night, and like I said, I'm doing some research. I stumble on a couple email addresses, and I was like, okay, one was for the press, and then one was for jobs. That's all it said. It just said press and jobs. It didn't even have any descriptions underneath it. And so since, I'm still small time, your boy is not a big boy yet, and I'm still independent as well. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to get press accreditation, so there's really no point in applying for that. But I was like, you know what? I have experience and I have skills and shit. And this is also the first year for the Overlook Film Festival. It's the inaugural festival. And I was like, okay, so maybe they're going to be a little bit shorthanded since it's the first one. Things might be a little chaotic. They could use some extra help maybe. So I emailed the press person, and then I CC'd it to the jobs person, which would be Mr. Nick Bruno. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And pretty much I was real stoned. I typed up an email saying pretty much the situation, that I really want to be a part of the festival, but, I couldn't do it via press. But then I also couldn't afford it either. I couldn't afford an all-access pass. So I told them all the things that I could do, that I was a server and bartender, I could help with events, or, that I could do a little bit of sound. And I just said all these things that I could do. And it was just a whim. I sent this email, and I really didn't even expect anything to go down from it. I even tweeted it just in case. I made a tweet from the Deezus Take the Reel Twitter page at Deezus TT Reel, and I made this Twitter post. I said, hey, I'm sending a real ballsy email right now. Only has about 15% chance of working, but if it does, it could be something really cool for the show. And fucking 13 days before the festival, I get an email back. And it says, hey, Devon, thanks for reaching out, blah, blah, blah. Are you still interested? I might have a position for you. We could use some help on the events team. And he said, here, I'm going to CC this to Natalia, and you can talk with her about it. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So I'm freaking out. And me and Natalia emailed back and forth, and we figured out a job for me, and then figured out a place for me to stay. And then next thing you know, I'm buying a plane ticket to Portland, Oregon. And yeah, and then from there, just everything kind of fell into place. Well, almost, actually. I almost wasn't able to buy my plane ticket. I didn't think I was going to be able to afford it. So I hustled up some money. I sold a couple things. I even sold a microphone for this thing, guys, because I really wanted to go, and I knew that it could be an awesome opportunity. So I was like, I'm going to do anything I can. I even asked my parents for money. They said no, but I still managed to make it happen anyways. And then I'm heading to Portland, right? And I'm taking a bus to Kansas City. my bus is running late. I almost missed checking my bags in for my flight out to Portland, and I would have been out there for like a day or two without any bags, and that would have fucking sucked as well. So, it almost didn't happen. Like, it was very close because between money-wise and all that shit happening, it almost didn't even happen. But it did. I made it happen, made it out to Oregon, and I had the best 5 days. Like I said, I got to watch some awesome movies that I'm going to tell you about. But the crew, though, like the crew that I was working with was just awesome. It was so awesome being around other like-minded movie people that were just horror junkies as well. I mean, we would just stay up drinking, talking about movies. I mean, we had so much fun together, made a bunch of new friends. But then I also got to meet, some of my idols, like Alicia Malone, which is the real Deezus Take the Reel episode. So make sure you check that one out. But then I got to meet her. I got to meet Perri Nemiroff, which you'll hear from in a bit. I met Eric D. Snyder. I didn't get anything recorded with him, but I hung out with Eric pretty much all weekend. Just met a bunch of awesome people, got to talk with some directors, got to talk with the writer and director of one of my favorite scary movies, Grave Encounters, Colin Minehan, which, again, I'll get to that later because I got to talk and record with all these people. I literally got to do everything that I wanted for this festival because I would work at night and then I would do Deezus Take the Reel stuff during the day. And it was just awesome. Everything worked out so well. It was a smaller turnout for the festival, which I also liked because it gave a sense of community. Everybody got to know each other and everybody got to talk with each other and whatnot. It really just made the atmosphere very relaxed and stuff. But at the same time, there were so many people enjoying themselves. We threw some badass parties because that's what I was doing with the events team. I was helping set up the stages and running the sound for the DJs and such. It was awesome. We threw some pretty rad parties as well. And overall, and I just needed it, I needed to get away from fucking Springfield for a week or so. I mean, I was pretty much gone for a total of 6 days because then I stayed in Denver for a night as well on the way back. So, I mean, I really needed. I needed a week off of work because I felt like all I was doing was working all the time, which was pissing me off. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to watch some movies. That's all I want to do. I want to watch some movies. I want to get some experience with the festival life because this is something I could, do down the road as well, do more festivals because this was an absolute blast. So I got so many fun things coming to you guys. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Okay, so I was going to do this in order. I was going to do it day by day, but at the same time, I kind of want to, switch the orders of things and mix it up. So like I said, what I'll be doing is I have some reviews of some of the movies I saw. I saw 9 movies, I believe. Not as much as I wanted to see because I was pretty busy doing work stuff at the same time. I'm glad I got to see all these movies because out of those 9, only one of them I gave a negative score to. So I will be just kind of throwing them in randomly. Some of the movies got a little bit more attention, obviously, because I got to talk to either the director or somebody else afterwards about it, or I recorded a few of the Q&As as well, or just me asking questions at the Q&A rather. So the big event for the weekend was the secret screening. That was the main event for Saturday night. It was the closing movie, and it was a secret. All that it was advertised was it came from a bold voice in film. Now, I came in and as soon as I saw that, I was like, A24. It's got to be something from A24, which really narrowed it down. It narrowed down some of the choices. And of course, since I was working on staff, I kind of found out ahead of time, actually. Each day I kind of found a couple more clues. And then when it came to Saturday, when we were building the set for the party and stuff, I was like, yeah, because we actually made a hallway as an entrance, recreating one of the scenes of this movie. And this movie, of course, was an A24 movie. It was It Comes at Night from Trey Edward Schultz, the director of Krisha. This movie was super awesome. I didn't love it the way I wanted to. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't even make my top 3 of the movies I saw at the festival, but at the same time, I saw some really awesome movies. And it was just super awesome being at, I got to see 2 world premieres, actually. I'll talk about the other world premiere here in a sec, but It Comes at Night was a world premiere. It wasn't even finished yet. Trey came in and said that it was about 95% done, that some of the visual effects still were being worked on, but he just couldn't wait to get this movie out. He really wanted to see some people's responses for it. It's coming out in June, so this could be a big horror movie for the summer. I mean, A24 has one of the best track records of any production or distribution company in the game right now. So this was a big time deal. Everybody lost their minds when they found out what it was. But of course, beforehand, since I knew some things going into it, I had to troll some people. So I got in line super early, and I was trolling some of the people in line, and one of them happened to be Kelly from the Friday podcast. So let's go ahead and cut to that real quick. A very secret party going on. We are in line about 45 minutes early. That's how big of a deal this is. And you know, I know some things because I've been working behind the scenes. Your boy knows some things. So what's your name? One more time.
My name's Kelly.
Hello, Kelly. And you said you're from the Friday podcast.
I am indeed. Yeah, I am.
Awesome. So what are your theories right now on what this secret screening could be? I'm not gonna give you anything because I can't. They might kill me.
Really closely.
Good luck. Good luck.
You just got to have a tell. Okay. Well, our crew's been theorizing all day, and one of our crew thinks it is the movie It, the remake. We've got another guess that it is the new Alien movie, Alien Covenant, and then one of our teams suggested it was Amityville: The Awakening. Those are the only three that we're like on record with.
Okay, and what would you want it to be out of those?
I'd want it to be It.
I think that would be really interesting. It would be really interesting if it was Amityville Awakening. It'd be really interesting if it was whatever other movie you told me.
Ooh, is he like doing like a double negative? Is he trying to trick us? Does that mean it's Alien? I don't know.
Oh, was that the other one, Alien? I don't know. Do you have any guesses?
Yeah, I just really want it to be It, so that's going to be my guess.
Okay, and how about you?
I would also like it to be It, and I spotted a little twitch of the lip when we were talking about It, so I'm putting my money on it.
A little twitch, huh? What if it's none of those? What if you're completely wrong? What if that was? What if it was a screening of The Shining with Jack Nicholson showing up?
Okay, now that would be better than It. Yeah.
I've been hoping all week, and I'm like, man, if Jack Nicholson showed up, that would be the bomb.
It would be amazing. It would be incredible. Yeah, that.
All right, well, who knows? Well, actually, I know. Who knows but me? And I'm going to get some more before the screening. I'm going to get people after the secret screening because afterwards, I have a feeling people are going to be very excited. Thank you so much, Kelly. Where can the people find you?
You can find us at Friday.com.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was fun getting to talk to her, and it was super funny because I was standing next to these two girls, and then Kelly comes up, and then they're all freaking out. They know who she was. I had no idea who she was. I thought she was just like another person. So I was like, oh, hey, you want to, can I record you real quick and interview you real quick? And she was all like, oh, yeah, sure. And then when I found out who she was, I was like, oh, that's really neat. So, guys, make sure you go find Kelly over at the over on Friday. And I think she does the podcast portion of it. So make sure you guys check Friday out on Twitter. So I got to have a little fun in the line before the screening, and then we go into the screening. I got real close. I was right up front in the second row, actually sitting behind Perri Nemiroff, which was awesome. We got to chit-chat for 20 minutes before the screening and stuff. I talked to her a few other times as well. Like I said, it was super laid back at this festival, so everybody was being super friendly. You could talk to everybody there, and nobody was freaking out either. It took a lot for me to keep my cool at this festival, guys, because like I said, I'm meeting famous people. I was getting the fucking Hollywood treatment up in this bitch. So, I was really trying to keep it together. I only lost my shit once, and I'll get to that a little bit later when we talk about Stillborn. But It Comes at Night was a very good film. Like I said, it was one of my most anticipated coming up. So, I had some pretty high hopes for it. And my thing is, the very first trailer, I don't think really represented it very well or represented, what was going on. It was just a teaser. So, it didn't really show much. But just from that teaser, it did not put out the vibe that this movie really has. The new trailer that they just dropped after the movie premiered, that one represents the movie a little bit better. But the initial teaser trailer, I went in thinking it was going to be one thing, and I came out and it was a whole nother thing, like a way different thing than I thought it was. And again, that's not a bad thing by any means. It Comes at Night is a wonderfully directed movie. Trey Edward Schultz is fucking 28 years old, and this guy has so much talent. He wrote and directed the film. There's a lot of really cool nuances to it, which I got to find out from Trey himself, because I got to talk to him at the party for about 20 minutes. Not even just about It Comes at Night. Like, we talked about him as a filmmaker as well. I got to critique him a little bit, like, which was really cool to me, because I feel like everybody there, like, when they would talk to a director, was kind of kissing their ass a little bit. Like, some people would, actually give them some, critical feedback or critique them a little bit. But, like, pretty much everyone else, every time they would go up and talk to somebody about their movie, just start kissing their ass. Like, there's this one guy that was a screenwriter handing out his business cards. Like, It Comes at Night, so Trey walks out of the theater, and we're not even out of this movie for 2 minutes. This guy comes up to him, he's like, oh, hey, great movie. And then he's like, hey, I'm actually working on a couple movies. I was like, and I just sat there because I was waiting to take a picture with Trey, and I mean, I was cracking up. Apparently, this guy was in everybody's face this entire trip. I didn't encounter him any other times, but I was just like, man, this guy's fucking obnoxious as hell. So, but anyways, back to the movie. So It Comes at Night, it has a very talented cast. It stars Joel Edgerton, which is one of my favorite actors working in Hollywood right now. You know him from Midnight Special, Loving, Black Mass, Warrior, a bunch of other movies. Like, the dude is such a talented dude. So it's starring him, and Christopher Abbott is a guy that I found on Netflix not too long ago. He has a movie on Netflix called James White that is really good. It's a really sad movie, so he really fit well into this movie. This movie is about paranoia, it's about grief, but at the same time, there's some sinister stuff afoot as usual. But yeah, it's pretty much about Joel Edgerton's character, Paul, is just trying to protect his family. Him and his family live in this house in the middle of the woods, and there is some sort of outbreak going on. And at the very beginning of the movie, you get this very emotional cold open. And it's very emotional because this movie is very personal to Trey Edwards. His father passed away, and that's what he said was the inspiration of him writing this movie. And he wrote the opening scene for this movie, which I won't spoil, but it's very emotional, and it really sets the tone for this entire movie. It's about grief. Like I said, you really feel for the family in this situation that they can't really control, and Joel Edgerton's character is faced with some decisions, and it really makes you ask the question of how far are you willing to go to protect your family. That's pretty much what this movie boils down to, and it boils down to trust issues, and who do you trust, your family or other people as well. And it's just a very interesting movie. It's not as horror based as you think it would be. I mean, it is scary. Don't get me wrong. There's some very intense scenes. There's some very scary scenes. There's some very good jump scares. But at the same time, like, this movie, really the festival in general was kind of more about the horrors of humanity rather than the supernatural elements. I mean, yeah, a lot of the movies featured slashers or some supernatural element to them, but what pretty much every movie that I saw boiled down to was what humans are capable of when put in certain situations. And Trey Edward Schultz brought that to life super well in this. It's super well shot. There's some really cool camera tricks they does that he talked about during the Q&A as he kind of messed with some of the aspect ratios and stuff. I didn't record the Q&A for that one because I didn't know if there was going to be an embargo or not, which there's not, which is why I'm able to talk about this movie right now. So it was very good. Like I said, I went in expecting more horror elements to it. I wanted it to be a little scarier, and I told Trey that because he said we were talking in the bar afterwards, and he said one of the things that he was worried about going into was, is this movie horror enough for people? And it is. Like, it definitely fits in the horror genre for sure. It is definitely very scary. I've been comparing this movie to The Witch a lot, which is a movie that people love. Like, people are going to love It Comes at Night. I will say that. The Witch, again, is another really good movie. I just didn't love it. And it's kind of a similar situation. It just didn't have as many horror elements as I would have liked it to have been. But at the same time, I did not know I was going to get the emotional drama from this family. Like I said, Joel Edgerton is so fucking good in everything he's in, and he brings it in this movie as well. And this is a very subdued role for him as well. Joel Edgerton's characters usually talk a lot and stuff like that, and a little bit more showy, but this was a more subdued performance. It's more about his body language and the way he is saying the way he says the things that he does. It's incredible. So I mean, this movie is worth it alone for the lead performances of Edgerton and Christopher Abbott. The son as well Kelvin Harrison Jr. I haven't seen him in anything, but he does a very good job as well. He kind of has a lot to do in this movie. But this movie, it's very confined. It's a one location movie. You only really see out inside the house or very outside the house in the woods. That's about it. So it's very contained, a very small cast as well. He even used natural lighting for all the night scenes, so you really feel this darkness and this sense of you know what's around the corner, what's outside of this house right now. You really got a sense of that, and it's a really good movie. So definitely check out It Comes at Night when you get the chance. It comes out in June, so I feel like a fucking ultimate badass. I've seen this movie about a month and a half, almost 2 months before it's scheduled to come out, so that's pretty awesome. And something that I told Trey and his response to me that stood out was, because like I said, he was talking to me about his concerns about the movie coming out. Because what's very interesting, I told Trey this, I was like, it's funny that you're kind of very self-conscious about this movie and you're worried about, people's responses. But at the same time, like, your directing is very fearless. It's very bold because Trey Edwards, like, he's a very vulnerable director. Like I said, this is a very personal movie for him. And hearing that after the Q&A really kind of impacted the way that I saw the movie afterwards, because I saw it. I saw the grief in his writing, which was incredible. And I told him that I was like, like I said, you're very subconscious about this movie and you seem very worried about it. But at the same time, like, your directing doesn't say that at all. And he really appreciated that. And he thanked me for that. And it was just awesome. Like I said, you didn't even talk about It Comes at Night the whole time. We just kind of talked about him as a writer, about being a writer-director, about, what's going forward, his future projects and stuff like that. We got to talk all sorts of stuff. I wish I would have recorded that, but at the same time, it was at a party and we were drinking and I got to have a beer and talk movies with Trey Edward Schultz. So, I'm not really complaining. Something else I'm not complaining about is after the movie, like I said, I got to sit and talk with Miss Perri Nemiroff. She is one of the hosts of Collider on Collider Nightmares, and Collider Nightmares really means a lot to me. It's kind of what made me become obsessed with horror movies, because, I've said it once, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, is, I've always loved horror movies, but I've never been this obsessed with them. Like, I'm in love with horror movies, and Collider Nightmares is a big part of that, so shout out to Mark Riley, Perri Nemiroff, Clark Wolf, and of course John Schnepp. But Perri got to go so that way she could, report back to the Nightmares crew, the stuff at the Overlook Film Festival, and it was awesome talking to her. So let's go ahead and cut to that for a minute. All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Deezus here, and it is day 3 of the Overlook Film Festival. I'm running into all sorts of my favorite people. I got one of my favorite Collider Nightmare hosts here, Miss Perri Nemiroff. Go ahead and say hi to people real quick.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, I've been running around doing all these interviews and stuff, and this was the main event. It was the secret screening, and I found out what it was ahead of time, and I've been keeping a clamp on it. But Perri came in the dark, had no idea. So first take me what your reaction was when it was announced, and then how you felt about the movie.
You're giving me a little too much credit because we did kind of connect the dots. When you work with certain people and they know that they're going to a certain event, you're going to be able to figure it out. So I had a good feeling that it was this, but if it was anything else, I think I would have been disappointed. This is one of my most anticipated horror movies of 2017, and I got exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, didn't even say the name of it, but It Comes at Night is the film that we saw is from A24, who is a powerhouse in indie films right now. Their track record is out of this world, and I got clues like one at a time. Like each day I would get another clue, and then I'm like, okay, and I started narrowing it down. And then we had Trey Edward Schultz was here to present it, which was super awesome. So what were your initial thoughts coming out of the movie?
I loved it. I loved it so much. It was not exactly what I expected. I was just saying to you before we even started recording is that it's hard to say you loved a movie like this just because it's such a hard watch, but he does it so incredibly well. I haven't seen a horror movie that's this thoughtful in a while, where you got to keep an eye on every single character, and he does a beautiful job with giving you just enough information to keep you satisfied but also mess with your head and make you think, and that's kind of the whole point of this movie. That's the whole situation that the characters are in.
Yeah, like it definitely was not what I was expecting going in. I wasn't expecting it to be as somber and as heavy as it was, and I love that Trey was very open. It was about his father's passing, and he said it started off from that opening scene and went from there, and I found that incredible, and I definitely felt it. You feel this the grief and the dread and the paranoia. And how many movies have you seen since you've been here?
I've seen, I believe this was my 5th. I've seen 5 movies now total.
Jeez, you've been here one day and you're already making up more ground than I've seen.
Digital screeners do help, and I've done one of the experiences now, so I feel like I'm just trying to get every little ounce of out of this festival I possibly can with the minimal amount of time I'm here.
Yeah, there's so much going on. It's been a blast. I've been here since Wednesday, and it's been so much fun. The staff has been great, but all the films, and I think the biggest thing that I've noticed with a lot of the film selection is there hasn't been a whole lot of like creature features. There's not a lot of supernatural stuff. It's dealing a lot with humans. What's the scariest part? And I'd say Blackout would go along with that theme as well.
That's actually a really good point, because I'm thinking about every single movie I've seen since I've been here, and it mostly highlights the terrible things that human beings are capable of. I mean, you could speculate some might go beyond that, but the primary focus is on how crazy humans can get when put in insane situations.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the perfect choice to close out the weekend, and tomorrow we got all the movies to catch up on, but it was incredible. Absolutely loved it. But thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time. Perri, where can the people find you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Pt. Nemiroff, and of course on the Collider Videos YouTube channel.
Yes, please check them out. I harp about Collider Nightmares literally all the time, and I think you guys are pretty much responsible for me being obsessed with horror movies now. Like, I've always loved horror movies, but the past year and a half, especially listening to you and Clark and Mark, like, you guys are fantastic. So, I mean, you guys are really getting people obsessed with horror movies.
That means a lot. I can understand that, too, because the 3 of them have that same effect on me, where I think we all went in with, some crossover of genre that we love, but every one of us has our specialty, and when you do a show together and you want to bring something that you love to the table, it forces other people to check it out, too. So, I mean, even being a horror fan all my life, in the past year of Nightmares being in existence, it's just grown tenfold.
Yeah, and I love that I can even sound more pretentious and snooty when talking about movies when I say genre films, because it's totally correct. It's not just horror movies, like, it is genre, and I love saying that, and people are just like, I don't get it, and I'm like, it's a Collider Nightmares thing you wouldn't understand. But thank you so much, Perri.
Thank you.
And I will give you guys some more recaps and interviews and reviews as soon as I see some more movies tomorrow night. See you later, guys. Yeah, Perri's awesome. One, she's a lot more adorable in person than you think she is. Oh my goodness, she's super cool, but at the same time, she's real laid back, real easy to talk to as well. Super awesome chick. Definitely check Perri Nemiroff on Twitter, guys. All right, so next up, It Comes at Night, like I said, was not the only world premiere that I got to see. Blumhouse brought a world premiere film with them as well, and that would be Stephanie. Stephanie is the new movie directed by Akiva Goldsman, and Stephanie was fine. It wasn't my favorite way to kick off the festival, I'd say, but it's still a solid movie. It had some solid ideas in it, but at the same time, I was just kind of excited that, like I said, I got to see another world premiere. I felt like real legit, real Hollywood and stuff. Stephanie is a movie featuring Shree Crooks from Captain Fantastic, which she's amazing in. I mean, all the kids in Captain Fantastic are amazing, but she was really good. She's only 10 years old, I believe. She is a super, like, oh my goodness, she's so talented, and she literally puts this movie on her fucking back. She's really all that matters in this movie. But you also have Frank Grillo as well. Frank Grillo from the Purge movies and from a couple of the Marvel movies. He plays Crossbones. So he's pretty solid in it as well. But, I mean, this movie, like I said, it's all about Shree Crooks, and she is just phenomenal. She's the one reason to watch this movie, because, I mean, if it was any other person in this movie in that role, I probably wouldn't really care for it. I would probably not even watch it. I probably wouldn't have given it a positive grade. But for Shree Crooks alone, I gave this movie a positive grade. And Akiva Goldsman does direct this very well. He has a very interesting eye, and then hearing from him in the Q&A afterwards, like, it made it even funnier. Because we had a real interesting time in the Q&A, which I'll cut to here in a sec. But Stephanie, it's pretty much this girl is abandoned by her parents. She's living alone, and there's an entity in the house that seems to be watching over her or is, watching her. And then the parents come back, and that seems to piss off this entity. And these entities are, known throughout the world with some sort of, it was like some sort of epidemic or something. And so this movie is actually the most sci-fi movie I've seen from Blumhouse in a while. And Blumhouse is always pretty solid. I won't say they're always good, but Blumhouse is, right behind there with A24 as far as horror movies go, bringing you some awesome stuff. Again, it was a fine movie. It's not bad, but it's not like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to watch Stephanie again, because, it's probably one of those movies that I won't watch again. But for Shree Crooks alone, she gives a phenomenal performance. I mean, the first half, or there's about a 40-minute section of the movie where it's just her in this house, and it's absolutely amazing, like how captivating she is on screen for at such a young age. Like very, she reminds me of Dakota Fanning. I mean, I think Dakota Fanning is kind of the standard that everybody compares little kid actors to. But at the same time, these past couple of years, we've gotten so many really good kid actors. I mean, the entire cast from Captain Fantastic is amazing. So definitely check out Stephanie if you're curious about it, and if you like Shree Crooks from Captain Fantastic, definitely check Stephanie out. And then afterwards, like I said, we got to do a little Q&A. I didn't record the Q&A, but if you want to hear about the Q&A, listen to my episode with Alicia Malone, and at the end, my story time is talking about the Q&A for Stephanie. Akiva Goldsman's a weirdo. And then we also presented the Visionary Award to Jason Blum, and Jason Blum's a really fun guy. He's like a total bro. So if you want to hear the story behind that, definitely go and check out the Alicia Malone episode. But what I did get after the movie was, like I said, I ran into Nightmare on Film Street. They were the reason that I ended up at this festival to begin with. I love listening to their podcast. It's a great horror podcast by John and Kim, a married couple. I mean, that's the fucking goals right there. But I got to hang out with them, off and on throughout the festival. We caught a few movies together as well. It was super awesome, but I got to talk to them after Stephanie and get their initial thoughts. So let's go ahead and cut to that interview real quick. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Deezus here, and I have just come from the world premiere of Blumhouse's new film, Stephanie, and it was, I won't say incredible, but it was very interesting. I had some interesting concepts to it, but don't listen to me. I have some very special guests here to give their opinions. I talk to these people all the time, and they are very good people. They are horror nuts, of course. It is the crew from Nightmare on Film Street. We got John and Kim here. So, guys, what is your initial thoughts of Stephanie?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I was really impressed with it, mainly because I'm not usually nuts about child actors. They tend to do well in horror, but it's usually just like a creepy little kid. I don't really want to say too much about the movie.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And what about you, Kim? Just the brief, like, the reaction.
Well, what I think was best about this film was how they set up the tension. There was a lot of moments where you would learn about a stake and then they would immediately present it to you. So I think in terms of level of scares, because I don't want to talk about anything too detailed, definitely go check it out for not just the jump scares, but just how high the stakes are each scene.
Yeah, I mean, I love, you mentioned kid actors. I mean, I think it's easy for kid actors to, do well in horror movies. I mean, who gets scared easier than a little kid? But Shree Crooks, though, I loved her in Captain Fantastic. I don't know if you guys saw that one.
I still haven't had a chance to see that now.
Yeah, she was easily my favorite part of the movie. Do you guys have any standout moments? Just not too specific. I know you guys are gonna give your guys' real thoughts on your guys' stuff. But just one standout moment you can give the people to something to look forward to.
Sure. It's not even necessarily that I want to hold anything in for our own podcast. It's just that it's a movie that nobody really knows anything about, so we don't really have a chance to let people get an idea of their own before we spoil it for them. But one thing the director was really talking about is the immediate change halfway through the movie, where the beginning half is sort of this external monster that we're dealing with, and then the second half kind of flips that around a little bit, and given that we're in such a tight space, it becomes an internal horror story. I thought that was a really cool idea.
And what about you, Kim?
That was a really good point. Yeah, for me, I was saying earlier, the tension trying not to spoil anything, our main character Stephanie, right where we're kind of trying to learn who she is and what kind of environment we're in this film. This scene in the kitchen with the glass and the blender, and I don't want to say more, but that is exactly what I was trying to say when I was talking about the tension and how easily they raise the stakes in the film with something so simple, and it's such a simple note of horror.
Yeah, I think they really hit the notes on the isolation really well, and then, the transition in the second half. But that's all we're going to give you guys because, you guys don't get this for who knows how long. This is a very special treat for us. Thank you so much, John and Kim, for giving you guys' thoughts. And, of course, check out their podcast, Nightmare on Film Street. It is fantastic. You guys are one of 8 podcasts I listen to continuously. You know how it is. Everybody wants you to listen and review your stuff, and they're like, please listen to my podcast, please. And I actually, don't have to force myself to listen to your guys.
We were listening to your Netflix and Kill episode, actually. We have such a long drive. We just loaded ourselves up with tons of podcasts. It was really funny to listen to.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. That's one of my personal favorites, because I don't think, like I said, I don't think people get how to properly Netflix and chill. I was there to educate them. That's all I wanted to do. Just real quick, where can the good people find you?
We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Stitcher, we're on SoundCloud, really anywhere you can find podcasts. That's not, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you where to find your podcast.
The easiest place is nofspodcast.com.
Sure.
There you go. Hit them up on Instagram, too. You guys are very active on your social media game. You guys keep it very tight.
All day long.
All right, thank you so much, guys, and I will bring you guys some more movie reviews and reactions, and we'll see what's going on here at the Overlook Film Festival. Catch you guys later. Yeah, it was awesome getting to hang and talk with them. They are super fun and awesome to hang out with. And, we're going to do some collaborations in the future. So, we'll hear more from the Nightmare on Film Street crew. And, I might go up to TIFF and hang out with them up in Toronto. Who knows? I don't know if your boy is ready for that big of a festival yet. I might get another 1 or 2 under my belt first. But TIFF is definitely a goal for me. Anyways, going on to the next movie that I'm going to talk about. It was my most anticipated movie going in, and it is The Bad Batch. It is directed by Anna Lily Amirpour from, she directed A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. And I haven't seen that movie. So I remember seeing the trailer for this movie. It has one of my favorite casts. It has Jason Momoa, which I wasn't super excited about. I don't love him, but this movie ended up changing my mind. But it has Keanu Reeves and Jim Carrey. If you've listened to this podcast enough, you guys know how much I fucking love both of them. I love Keanu Reeves. I love Jim Carrey. This might be one of my favorite Keanu Reeves performances. His fucking name is The Dream, guys. The Dream. But it is also starring Suki Waterhouse and Giovanni Ribisi. It has a super cool cast. I remember watching the trailer. It's like a music video. It has this super upbeat, funky, indie electro music behind it. And it's a cannibal movie. It is literally described as a romantic horror thriller cannibal movie. That's what it's described as, and that's pretty much what this movie is. It was my most anticipated going in, and coming out of it ended up being my favorite movie of the festival. It's one of those movies, when you go into a movie and you're just going to love it. You see the tone of it, you hear the premise, or you see the cast or something, and you're just like, I'm going to fucking love this movie. And I was not wrong. This movie is a fucking blast. It's very fun. It's very upbeat. It's fucking gorgeous. This movie is shot so gorgeously, and the soundtrack behind it is amazing. I talk about movies that I'd love to see with no dialogue in them and with just music, because I think they should bring silent films back. There should be more modern silent films. But then also, that's kind of a movie I want to create. I want to make a movie that my opening scene is pretty much a music video. It's set to a full song with no dialogue in it or something. I almost want to have a small story in front of my movie, to open the movie up. But anyways, this movie, there's literally no dialogue for the first about 45 minutes or so. And even after that, the dialogue is kind of in and out. The movie is told mainly by the visuals, by the actors, by their performances, because all the actors had this really good presence on film. Jason Momoa literally is walking, talking, living, breathing presence. That's what he is. And I never thought he was the greatest actor or anything. I haven't really seen him in much, but he turns in a really good performance in this. Suki Waterhouse not only puts on a great performance, but her character is phenomenal. Her name is Arian. and she is just wow. Like Suki Waterhouse, and again, wow. Like she has one leg and one arm in this movie, and she is still fucking hot as hell. Like, oh my goodness. But this movie is basically based, if you are a part of the Bad Batch, if you are a criminal or a bad person or something, they banish you out into the desert where there's no rules, no law, and you live with the rest of the Bad Batch. You fend for yourself, and within the Bad Batch, there's one community, Comfort, where a lot of people live and stuff, and everything seems nice and free and fun. And I mean, not fun because I mean they live in the fucking desert, but you know, it's a lot nicer. But then there's this other community of weightlifting cannibals, and it is fantastic. The opening scene of this movie, I mean, if you guys know me, I love a good cold open in a horror movie, and this movie has a really awesome opening scene in it. And the biggest surprise of the movie, I mean, it wasn't a surprise for me, but it was for everyone else because a lot of people didn't even know he was in the movie or that it was him in the movie, is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey gives one of his best performances in, you know, the past 10 years or so. I mean, Jim Carrey, everyone knows I love that man to death. He's one of my inspirations. I love all of his early movies. And then, you know, and I even like his stuff in the early 2000s and stuff. But then, you know, he's kind of gone on a cold streak. He hasn't really put out too many good movies. He hasn't really been in a lot of movies lately. So it's really awesome to see him in this very small indie movie. I mean, this is a $6 million budget indie movie. So it's crazy that Jim Carrey was even involved in it to begin with. But he doesn't even say a line of dialogue in this entire movie. And I won't even tell you what character he is because I want you to watch it and see if you can recognize him. Because, I mean, I recognized him because I already knew he was in the movie. But a lot of people had no idea. And that was awesome to get some people's reactions from it. Like I say, Keanu Reeves that's my boy. And he's got a mustache and he's like some DJ dystopian leader in this movie. Everything, I loved everything about this movie, guys. Like, I don't even really have many complaints about it. You get blood, you get emotion, you get, you know, you get a love story. Well, I guess that's the one thing that I'll knock about this movie is it is described as a cannibal love story, and the love story is okay. The love story is not great, but what I think it is a great story is, of self-discovery, of self-identity and acceptance, discrimination even in this movie. There's a lot of things in it, and it's one of those movies that, like, I cannot wait to rewatch it because, like I said, it's just so gorgeous to watch. The cinematography by Lyle Vincent, it's just super gorgeous. It has a phenomenal soundtrack. It's gonna be like The Neon Demon, one of those movies I can put on and fall asleep to if I want to, or I can watch it just because it's so pretty. So definitely check out The Bad Batch as soon as that comes out. I believe that also comes out in June. But it was super awesome. And I got to talk with one of my friends from the festival about it afterwards. His name is Bolin Miller. He was actually on staff with me, and he is a photographer, but he's also, he was there because he was also working the events, but he was trying to meet people for his movie. He has a movie coming out, and he showed me a short for it. And as soon as he puts that short on YouTube, I'm going to post it because this thing is incredible. Like, Bolin is a super talented guy, but not only that, super awesome guy. Like I said, like, I made friends at this festival. It wasn't just like, you know, we were working together and then it's going to be like, oh, see you later, guys. Like, I actually made a lot of really good friends at this. So definitely check Bolin Miller's stuff out. But here's a little blurb. We got to talk about The Bad Batch for a little bit afterwards. All right, what's up, bitches? It's your boy Deezus here, and it is day 2 of the Overlook Film Festival. Sorry if this is a little bit choppy because I haven't decided how I'm going to edit this yet. But I just came from my second movie of the weekend, The Bad Batch. And you know those movies that you just get real excited for and you know you're going to love it just because maybe the premise or the cast or who knows. But all the above for this movie because I fucking loved it. And I have one of my friends that I've met down here. We're on the staff crew together, and he loves movies just like everybody else at this festival. His name's Bolin. Go ahead and say hi to everybody real quick.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, so we just came from The Bad Batch. What were your initial reactions?
Absolutely loved it. I didn't know what I was getting into. I had no idea that Jim Carrey was even in the movie, and it's just a really, really giant bag of surprises.
Yeah, it totally was a lot of things that, I mean, I kind of, like, it gave pretty much, like, exactly what the trailer did, like, for the most part, I think. Like, I think the trailer was a very good depiction. It's a very good trailer, which I don't watch a whole lot of trailers, like, so I really commend that. Did you catch the trailer beforehand?
I did catch the trailer. It gave me the impression of I don't know. I didn't really expect this type of movie, I guess. From the trailer, it kind of looked like a quirky comedy. And, I mean, it's not unfunny, but it's definitely not a quirky comedy.
Yeah, it definitely was a little bit deeper than I was expecting it to be. It definitely had some cool themes in, but you got this interesting premise that I love how they never really explained it either. They were just like, these people get labeled the Bad Batch if you apparently get into trouble, or if you're not deemed worthy of society, is what they say. So I thought that was really interesting, and they never really explained it. And then you just see this girl. What was her name again? Is either Suki Waterhouse is the actress's name. I can't remember what her character's name was. Arnell, I think, or something like that. Yes. She was fantastic. I thought she was great, especially in the first 20 minutes where it's just her and she's not speaking.
She doesn't speak for the first 20 minutes of the movie. Yeah, I thought she did a great job.
I mean, this movie doesn't really have a whole lot of dialogue in it for the good first hour 15, and then the second third is where we get most of the dialogue from the movie. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. But it didn't need it, because the music and the acting and the body language from everybody really told the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had questions, but then another turn of events would happen, and my questions didn't matter anymore, and I'm just more intrigued with the movie, and it keeps building on you as it goes. It's very cool.
For sure, and it sucks, because on my podcast, I usually spoil every movie I talk about. I usually don't give a shit. But since this hasn't hit wide release yet, and I'm seeing this early and all that good stuff, I will not spoil it. But the ending, how'd you feel about the ending? Just say yes or no.
Yes.
That's all I needed, and I agree with you there. Definitely a yes for me on the ending. It confused me for a second. It kind of threw me off, because we'll chat after we record this about the ending. But fantastic. What was your favorite part?
I gotta say my favorite part is either there's a scene where dust storm hits and Jason Momoa is there with Elaine, her character name is, I believe.
Arnell, I think.
And they're not getting along at this point. They don't like each other. I mean, I think they might want to kill each other. And he just wraps this regular bed sheet around her, and they just sit it out while this dust storm hits them. It's a very cool, quiet moment. Yeah,
it was a very quiet moment. Great music behind it. The music for this fucking movie is out of this world. Every scene, the songs that they picked for each scene fit perfectly. But I mean, hands down, my favorite scene was the introduction to The Dream. Keanu Reeves, oh my fucking God. Everybody knows how much I love this man. I love this man to death. And his opening monologue just fucking, I had the biggest smile on my face watching this movie. But yeah, it was a great movie. And see, for you said it was kind of a little bit of a surprise, but it was literally everything I thought it was gonna be. I got pretty much everything that I thought I was gonna get from this movie.
That's awesome. It wasn't a huge surprise. I just didn't know I was gonna like it, and I love it. So
yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. Just in a day and age where expectations with movies can kind of dampen your enjoyment of it. Because maybe it doesn't meet up to your expectations, and then you hate it. Or you're and then later on you're oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I just got, the hype monster got me. That's what I call it. I call it the hype monster. But yeah, it was a fantastic movie, and we are going to go get back to work and hopefully catch some more movies later on this weekend. And speaking of movies, Bolin is making a movie. You want to go ahead and tell the people real quick about it?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on a first-time feature-length film. It's a horror thriller starring Kane Hodder and Brendan Small. Kane Hodder is, of course, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And Brendan Small is best known for home movies and Metalocalypse. Creator, musician, and everything. Super fun movie. Hopefully we're going to be shooting July, if not November, and look for it. It's called Iron Lung.
Hell yeah. I meant to ask because you mentioned Metalocalypse. Did you get into contact with John Schnepp at all?
Did not. I had a brief meeting with Brendan. He's a really awesome guy, totally down to earth, and all about horror. So he's very happy with the project.
Fuck yeah, that sounds awesome. Pretty much it's you have a elderly disabled Jason Voorhees, and if that doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what does. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this. I will bring you some more interviews and reviews and such from the festival. I'm going to do the VR game tomorrow at some point. And yeah, we're going to just keep it going. Overlook Film Festival Day 2. See you guys later. Yeah, Bolin is a great guy. So like I said, as soon as I get him to put that short on YouTube, I am going to upload it so fast because it is very good. Like, he's got a really cool movie coming out, and I think it could be something special. It could be a movie that is shown next year at Overlook. Who knows? But let's go ahead and talk about some other movies that I saw. Another really good movie that I saw is a movie called Stillborn. It actually took home the award for scariest movie. It didn't win the jury's best movie, but they had to give it a special award because it definitely was, like, 100% the scariest movie at this festival. Like I said, a lot of this the festival are based on human horrors, and a lot of the movies are these genre movies. It wasn't even really a horror film festival, it's a genre film festival, because a lot of the movies there that were being shown weren't super scary. But I saw Stillborn on the very last day, and I am so glad that I did, because it is a great movie. So Stillborn, you have these new parents that they had twins, and one of them survived the birth, the other one did not. And then you see the mother, Mary, and she's going through this postmortem psychosis. The husband thinks she's going crazy because she believes that there's a demon out there trying to steal her baby. So it's up to you to figure out if she's just going crazy or if there is something supernatural out there trying to get to her baby. Guys, this movie is so good. You'll hear in the Q&A whenever I post it because I got to ask Brandon Christensen a question, which he's a super nice guy. I talked to him for about 15 minutes after the movie, and he's been following me on Instagram and everything. So shout out to Brandon if you're listening to the podcast. He also helped write the movie as well with Colin Minehan. And, this movie plays out like The Conjuring, at least the style of it, the production. Like, this movie, it's very slick. The shots in it are really good. They live in this big house, so it makes for a really interesting setting because most of the movie takes place in this house. The performance by Christy Burke as Mary, she is phenomenal in this movie. She shows off a big range in this movie. You really buy into her as a mother and her kind of going crazy. The sound design for this movie is also amazing. Speaking of the sound for this movie, I talked to Berlin Blitz, and they are the people that did the score for this movie, and I found them on Twitter and reached out, and I will be featuring one of their songs on Deez and T Money. So listen to that episode because we will be doing our Chuckle Fuckery writing prompt to that song. So super awesome for them as well. Because the sound design for this movie is incredible. But yeah, this movie, it's very straight up, no nonsense horror. Like, that's the way I described it. Like, the scares are, it has jump scares in it, but they're good jump scares. They're real. They're earned. They're not like, these fake out scares. And pretty much the whole movie, what you see is what you get. Like, they're not trying to play games with you because, Mary is going crazy, but we know what's actually going on in the film. It's everybody else in the film that doesn't. So, this movie is very straightforward, no bullshit. It's a very scary movie. Another movie that I really can't wait to rewatch because I think I'm going to watch it and find out some more nuances from it. Because talking to Brandon about the movie afterwards, there were some things I did notice and some things I didn't notice. So I can't wait to go back and see some of that kind of stuff. So real quick, Brandon and the rest of his team, they did a Q&A after the movie, so I will go ahead and cut to that real quick so you can hear the question that I asked him. I love that you referenced The Conjuring because that was literally like the movie I was thinking of because I love that this was pretty straightforward, like, you really weren't playing any games or anything with the scares. But who came up with the design for the creature, the demon, and was it inspired by something specific?
Yeah, the original concept, there is a real homage to Demon. It's based on this Mesopotamian demon thing that we found. And the design of the real one, really dumb looking. So I was, I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones, but the red lady, when she takes off the amulet thing, she turns into that horrific thing. That was kind of the initial idea, but when we met this woman, because Chris and Kurt, they're the producers out of Calgary where we shot, and they did a casting call. We needed like an older woman that could, be comfortable being nude. And so this woman, like pretty much the only one that came by, she showed us her hair and it was like down to here. So we're like, holy shit. And so we're like sending the artist, we're like, long hair, big hair. We're going big hair for this design. So that influenced, I mean, just it was total luck because, I mean, that hair is awesome. When we met her, I was with Chris and we just had coffee and she was just like, here's my hair.
Right.
I'm like, whoa.
And she was the first person that these guys found too, who was just happened to also like in a previous life write erotic novels.
It was totally erotic. It was erotic horror. She wrote erotic horror novels. So she was into it. Yeah, she loved it. She also just looks terrifying. I mean, in the best way possible. She's the nicest woman in the world.
And as far as the little mosh dude goes, I think when Brandon and I realized that we were gonna play, you know, Mary's perspective as like kind of unraveling this mythology of a demon, as well as, you know, the audience obviously questioning whether or not she's actually experiencing that. We literally were just like, is there a real demon that takes babies? And then we just Googled it, and we found that. And it was like, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah, it was so cool getting to ask about the creature in this movie, the demon itself. It was super scary, like one of the better creature designs I've seen in a little while, and it was all practical too. I didn't include that in the Q&A, I did include that in the Q&A. Super awesome that it was an actual person that they dressed up in makeup for this rather than CGI, because this was a very low budget movie. It was shot in his parents' house. Like, that's how low budget this movie was, but it doesn't need the budget. This movie is very straightforward, tells a wonderful story, it has great performances in it, just an all-around solid movie, and it definitely earned its award for scariest movie. But what really got me at the end of this movie was, so they're doing the Q&A, and Colin Minehan is talking. I did not know, or it just didn't really, I mean, I knew, but it didn't like click with me in my head. But as soon as they mentioned Grave Encounters, that's whenever I lost my cool a little bit. This is the only time in the whole festival that I was like somewhat unprofessional, because so they mentioned Grave Encounters. Colin Minehan was the writer for 1 and 2, and he directed the first one. I had no idea. Grave Encounters is one of my favorite movies ever, guys. I talked about it in the Netflix and Kill episode, and I fucking love that movie. It's one of my favorite found footage movies, but it's an awesome, just all-around fun horror movie, and I had no idea, and then it made sense. Whenever I was watching Stillborn, I could see some of the influences from Grave Encounters. So after the movie, I'm rushing out the door to go talk to him, and I say what's up to Brandon. I introduce myself, and we talk for a few minutes, and then I turn to Colin, and I'm like, dude, I fucking love Grave Encounters. And he was like, oh, dude, that's awesome. Because, I mean, it's not like everybody's favorite horror movie or anything. Like, a lot of people don't even know about this movie, but it has gained like a cult following. So it was kind of funny because like I'm interviewing Colin, and he's there to represent Stillborn, and I could tell he was, maybe not the happiest that I wanted to talk about Grave Encounters. We still talked about Stillborn as well, and then after I recorded that, like I went and talked with Brandon. Me and Brandon talked with John and Kim, and we talked for about 20 minutes about the movie. So I mean, I did still talk about Stillborn, but I kind of lost it for a sec. I was like, I just want to talk about Grave Encounters. I just need to know some things. So let me go ahead and cut to the interview of me and Colin talking a little bit about Stillborn and Grave Encounters. All right, what's up, everybody? It is day 4 of the Overlook Film Festival. Just came out of Stillborn, and one of the writers on this project worked on. You were the director, correct, Colin? Co-writer, co-director, and it's one of my favorite movies ever. If you guys go back to the Netflix and Kill episode, I talked about this movie. I talked about this movie a lot, actually, and it is Grave Encounters. So, Colin, you said we were just chit-chatting about it before. I love the Sci-Fi Channel vibe from it with these ghost hunters. So go ahead and how did the idea conceptualize?
Sure. It really came about just because, my buddy Stu and I, who I wrote the film with and co-directed the film with under the pseudonym The Vicious Brothers, we were just kind of fans of like those television shows. Like what were the ones like? There's Ghost Adventures. There's like that Sci-Fi Ghost Hunters show, and then there's some, I'm blanking on the one with the psychic that's he's like, they bring in a medium all the time. It's like paranormal. I don't know. I can't remember, but Yeah, it's like it's like an amalgamation of all of those. We created our own kind of show with our own show's backstory called Grave Encounters, and I'm always a fan of, like, I think it's a horror trope that's really not used very often, which is that, the non-believer is faced with something that he's forced to believe in, and I think it's always good to see kind of the person that is making fun of, the threat kind of come up against it.
Yeah, I definitely love that aspect. The characters were very great. Like I felt like I was watching like a film crew and stuff. But I also love it's a pretty straightforward, like classic haunted house kind of style movie, and you're just taken through, and it just escalates and escalates. So the reason that this movie is so special to me though is so this is go back 5 years ago or so, and this was my freshman year of college. And my roommate, coincidentally, his name is Colin. And he told me about this movie. He's like, hey, man. He's like, have you heard of Grave Encounters? And I was like, no. And he was like, dude, it's an awesome movie. And I was like, okay, let's watch it. So we watched this movie. And then we watch it again, like the next night. And then we have some people over and we watch it again. So what we would do when we'd have girls over and shit, we would pre-watch scary movies. So that way we knew where all the scares were and shit. And Grave Encounters has some of the best jump scares ever, I think. Like, very effective, but they're so great. So, like, we would literally have different girls over, and we've seen this movie who knows how many times. So it's like we're timing it, we're fucking with them and stuff, and it was our go-to scary movie. That and Sinister. We would watch those two, and I definitely got a lot of Sinister vibes on Stillborn.
Yeah, a little bit. Stillborn's a lot different than Grave Encounters. I mean, it's not as like heavy as far as, I guess it has the jump scares in it that obviously the kind of more commercial horror audience really loves, and it's a pretty frightening film, but it obviously varies in a lot of ways from Grave Encounters. Grave Encounters is obviously a found footage movie, kind of came out when there was a lot of found footage films coming out when Paranormal Activity was kind of at its hottest, but Stillborn's more of a classic genre film. I'd compare it more to something like The Conjuring or something like that from more recent years. But yeah, very different, but very frightening as well.
Yeah, love both films. So I guess I'm gonna have to look out for anything else you're writing, because I really like both films. And just like as soon as they said like, oh yeah, when you worked on Grave Encounters, I looked at my friend, I was like, oh shit. Like, so yeah, thank you for telling me about that. You got Twitter?
I do, yeah. At Colin Minehan on Twitter there.
Yeah, definitely go check him out, guys. He's a very talented writer, and hopefully got some fun movies coming out. All right, what's up, everybody? It is day 4 of the Overlook Film Festival. It just came out of Stillborn, and one of the writers on this project worked on. You were the director, correct, Colin? Co-writer, co-director, and it's one of my favorite movies ever. If you guys go back to the Netflix and Kill episode, I talked about this movie. I talked about this movie a lot, actually, and it is Grave Encounters. So, Colin, you said we were just chit-chatting about it before. I love the Sci-Fi Channel vibe from it with these ghost hunters. So go ahead and how did the idea conceptualize?
Sure. It really came about just because my buddy Stu and I, who I wrote the film with and co-directed the film with under the pseudonym The Vicious Brothers, we were just kind of fans of like those television shows. Like what were the ones like? There's Ghost Adventures. There's like that Sci-Fi Ghost Hunters show, and then there's some, I'm blanking on the one with the psychic that's or he's like, they bring in a medium all the time. It's like paranormal. I don't know. I can't remember, but. Yeah, it's like it's like an amalgamation of all of those. We created our own kind of show with our own show's backstory called Grave Encounters, and I'm always a fan of, like, I think it's a horror trope that's really not used very often, which is that, the non-believer is faced with something that he's forced to believe in, and I think it's always good to see kind of the person that is making fun of, the threat kind of come up against it.
Yeah, I definitely love that aspect. The characters were very great. Like I felt like I was watching like a film crew and stuff. But I also love it's a pretty straightforward, like classic haunted house kind of style movie, and you're just taken through, and it just escalates and escalates. So the reason that this movie is so special to me though is so this is go back 5 years ago or so, and this was my freshman year of college. And my roommate, coincidentally, his name is Colin. And he told me about this movie. He's like, hey, man. He's like, have you heard of Grave Encounters? And I was like, no. And he was like, dude, it's an awesome movie. And I was like, okay, let's watch it. So we watched this movie. And then we watch it again, like the next night. And then we have some people over and we watch it again. So what we would do when we'd have girls over and shit, we would pre-watch scary movies. So that way we knew where all the scares were and shit. And Grave Encounters has some of the best jump scares ever, I think. Like, very effective, but they're so great. So, like, we would literally have different girls over, and we've seen this movie who knows how many times. So it's like we're timing it, we're fucking with them and stuff, and it was our go-to scary movie. That and Sinister. We would watch those two, and I definitely got a lot of Sinister vibes on Stillborn.
Yeah, a little bit. Stillborn's a lot different than Grave Encounters. I mean, it's not as like heavy as far as, I guess it has the jump scares in it that obviously the kind of more commercial horror audience really loves, and it's a pretty frightening film. But it obviously varies in a lot of ways from Grave Encounters. Grave Encounters is obviously a found footage movie. Kind of came out when there was a lot of found footage films coming out, when Paranormal Activity was kind of at its hottest. But Stillborn's more of a classic genre film. I'd compare it more to something like The Conjuring or something like that from more recent years. But yeah, very different, but very frightening as well.
Yeah, love both films. So I guess I'm gonna have to look out for anything else you're writing, because I really like both films. And just like as soon as they said like, oh yeah, when you worked on Grave Encounters, I looked at my friend, I was like, oh shit. Like, so yeah, thank you for telling me about that. You got Twitter?
I do, yeah. At Colin Minehan on Twitter there.
Yeah, definitely go check him out, guys. He's a very talented writer, and hopefully got some fun movies coming out. Yeah, it was super fun and getting to tell Colin that we would watch this movie with girls in our dorm room freshman year. Good times. But so glad that I got to talk to him and ask him some questions about Grave Encounter, because I fucking love that movie. If you have not seen Grave Encounters, guys, check it out. But before you check out Grave Encounters, check out Stillborn as soon as it's released. Or you can watch Grave Encounters before Stillborn's released, because, again, all these movies came out early. This was also a world premiere as well. This was the very first two showings, or I didn't see the very first one. I saw the second showing, but still the world premiere of Stillborn. So, guys, go check that out. Brandon Christensen is a very talented director. He's a very talented writer as well. I hope that him and Colin keep working together, because they seem to have a really nice rapport for the movies, and they have another movie that they're all working on together. So I'm super excited for anything that they come out with in the future. And of course, like I said, make sure you listen to the Deez and T Money Show, because I will be playing some of Berlin Blitz's music, not from Stillborn. I'm playing one of their other songs, but I will still talk about the music for Stillborn as well. So super awesome. And then the last movie that I got some extra material for was Psychopath. Psychopaths is my number 2 movie of the festival. Psychopaths is an anthology movie, which I think they should advertise as such, because I went in not knowing that it was an anthology movie, which it ended up being a very pleasant surprise. But I think more people would be excited for this movie if they hear the premise and then mention, oh, it's kind of like an anthology movie. It's pretty much set up the way that Trick or Treat is. Psychopaths, at the beginning of the movie, there is a serial killer. Yeah, it opens up with this really cool documentary-style monologue by Larry Fessenden, who had 2 movies here at the festival. He was in another movie, Like Me, that I'll talk about here in a sec. But he does this opening monologue yet. But anyways, so yeah, you have these 6 or 7 psychopathic serial killers that all go on a killing spree on the same night. So it's, like I said, it's Trick or Treat. It takes place in one night, and all these killers kind of keep crossing paths every once in a while. And it's super interesting. The storytelling is very tight in it. Sam Zimmerman, who played one of the killers, was also present at the festival, and we got to do a Q&A with him. I talked with him a few times as well, and he also ran the horror trivia night as well. So super awesome guy, and he was super happy to be there for the festival. But it has great performances across the board from all the serial killers, including Helen Rogers. Helen Rogers, oh my goodness, puts on this weird performance where she's like switching back and forth between these two personalities and stuff. And there's this, oh my goodness, it's so fucking cool. But really, all the psychopaths in this were really good. There's a James Landry Hebert. James Landry Hebert as a mustache strangler, and he was super good. This movie also had a very killer soundtrack to it. It was very acid trippy. It had these bright colors, quick visuals. It would like kind of have those like random like cutscenes in between stuff, like kind of like Fight Club style ish. But like I said, it's an hour and 20 minutes, and they fit a lot of shit into this movie in that short amount of time. Like, they really put a lot of stuff into this movie. As far as story goes, juggling all the different characters, all the characters definitely got their due as well. It was just, it's a great movie. It's a super fun movie to watch as well, because, I mean, there's so much blood and violence in it. It has really interesting cinematography and a score to it. Just an all-around amazing movie, directed by Mickey Keating, who also wrote it as well. Mickey Keating is known, he's put out 5 movies in the past 3 years. The dude is a machine. You'll hear from Sam Zimmerman in the Q&A about they shot this movie really fast, it came together really fast. So let's go ahead and cut to that really quick.
Can you discuss, Sam? Yes. How did you get into the role of the mask?
Well, Mickey said, you know, I want you to come be in this, I want you to play this character who wears a mask the whole time. I was like, oh, it's fun. That's like, it's a challenge, it's cool. I just did it. I don't know, I think a lot about acting is you're just sort of there, and you do it, and this is who you are, and this is what you're doing. And I talked to Mickey about that. I said, you know, here's who he is. You know, there are some connections in the movie to who he is, to other characters and things like that. I sort of took that on, you know, made my own decisions, but a lot of it came with physicality. And just playing around with how he walked, how he lumbered, how to convey as much as you could through little tiny eye holes and shoulders.
We have time for a couple of questions. Anybody's got some questions, go ahead and raise your hand. I'm going to wave it because it's a little hard to see. Yes.
The soundtrack sounds amazing. Is it going to do the soundtrack releases?
The question was about the soundtrack.
I don't know the answer to that, but I hope so.
Good answer.
Do you have an answer to that? Actually,
I just
realized you might have an answer to that.
What was amazing about the soundtrack is what Mickey does when he makes movies is he puts in incredibly expensive music for the tech cut. So we end up playing at festivals and then we can't use the music because it's too expensive. So it's really, we have amazing music supervisors who are able to find comp tracks. So a lot of the music you saw in the movie came together in the last 2 weeks before locking the cut, and also at the last second we had a musician coming in, and some of the songs are original, like the song that played through the end, and he wrote that for us less than a month ago, so it's just crazy how it came together.
Oh yeah, when we screened Rebecca, he told me how delighted he was to score the moment where I put the rabbit mask down, and how he found that very delicate and emotional. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm glad you found that.
There's a question right there.
Yeah. Absolutely love the movie. I always find it with the movies that have these kind of interweaving storylines and stuff like that. Did you guys shoot it chronologically, and then how was that on you as an actor if you didn't shoot it chronologically?
I could speak for my sort of section and vignette. We shot it largely pretty at least chronologically to what you see. There's a lot of moving parts and weaving in and out, but our stuff, yeah, I mean, the end of our stuff was 2 nights in the desert with Jeremy and I sort of tussling in the car and on the ground floor and then setting the car on fire.
Yeah, I think what's amazing about the film is most of the performance you see were shot in 3 days. So for instance, Ashley, who, the performer, you know, she came in for 3 days when you think of the impact on the film she had. But I also like that the last thing we did was set the car on fire that starts the movie. When we set an actual car on fire, and I thought I was going to go to jail. But it was really fun.
By the way, I'm sorry for the audio on the Q&As, because like whenever I was doing interviews and stuff, I had my mic and my recorder with me, but whenever I was doing the Q&As, just because since I wasn't actually press, I wasn't sure if I was able to record, which I was. I mean, nobody had a problem with it. But, so I just had like my digital recorder during the Q&As, so sorry about the sound quality on those. Did the best I could. But anyways, fantastic movie. Check out Psychopaths if you get the chance to. It is a super awesome movie. I loved it. I didn't get Q&A footage, or not footage, audio. I didn't get any Q&A audio or interviews for all the movies I saw, but I'll go ahead and run through the other movies I saw really quick. First up, we have Like Me. It was the other movie that contained... So first up, there's Like Me. It was a satirical movie about social media fame and the internet. It also starred Larry Fessenden, but it not only starred him, it starred one of my new bays, one of my new Hollywood crushes. She just got added to the stable because this girl, so good, so amazing in this movie. The gorgeous and talented Addison Timlin. Like I said, this girl is cute as fuck. Oh my goodness. But not only that, she can act her ass off. This movie is a character study about her character, who is a popular YouTuber who is pretty much popular for doing her own YouTube snuff movies. She like holds up a convenience store, and then she pretty much kidnaps and fucks with Larry Fessenden's character, who's a hotel manager. And they go on this road trip as well. It's a coming of age story. It's a road trip as well. But like I said, it's a very satirical take on, where we sit in society right now. It's ironic that I loved it because, I'm trying to be internet famous pretty much. So it was very funny. It was a movie that I could relate to. But it's very funny. It has these visuals to it. The way they incorporate drugs into this movie, which is an odd compliment for a movie, but the way they incorporate, like their acid and mushroom trips and stuff, they really incorporate it with the camera work really well, which is super cool. But like I said, this movie goes back to Addison Timlin. This movie does not work without this performance because she's such a central character. And I mean, most of the movie is either her or her and Larry Fessenden, but she is present through, this entire movie. And a character study does not work if you don't buy into the character. So she was absolutely fantastic as Kaya. There's some other fake YouTubers that they create. This kid Ian Nelson played a YouTuber named Bert, and that was a very interesting character as well. It was like kind of her online rival. It's a super interesting movie. There's this friendship between Kaya and Marshall that kind of blooms, and you see that happen. But as well, you are watching this girl lose her shit. She's kind of going crazy a little bit. Doesn't really know what she's doing or who she wants to be or what she's trying to do. And it's an interesting movie. It's very fascinating. It's another one of those movies that as soon as we got done watching, I was like, I want to watch that again, partially because I missed the first 5 minutes of the movie. But I would love to revisit this movie again. A lot of the movies at this festival are very pretty, very, very gorgeously shot movies for how low budget all these movies are as well. Is super impressive. Fantastic movie. So if you hear about Like Me, it's directed by Robert Mockler. Check that movie out because it is awesome. Side note, every time I'm Googling a movie to look up information about them, all these movies have real bad titles to search for because they all have very basic words in them. So make sure you type in movie afterwards. Whenever you Google it, type in Like Me movie. Because if you type in Like Me, some cheerleader bullshit pops up. So you don't want to hear about that. Check out Robert Mockler's Like Me. One of the more popular movies from the festival is Boys in the Trees. It is a Australian fairy tale, is the way that I describe it. It's definitely the lighter and the least scary movie of the bunch, but it is still genre nonetheless. It's directed and written by Nicholas Verso, and it has a very young cast to it. Toby Wallace as Corey is phenomenal, as well as Gulliver McGrath as Jonah. So pretty much this movie is another coming-of-age movie. The Corey is running with this group known as the Wolves, and they're shitheads. It's a group of shitheads. I was trying to come up with a nicer way to put it, but all of his friends are shitheads. And so he doesn't really like being friends with them. He's trying to get out of their shitty town and go to New York for college and stuff. So he's very conflicted on who he is and who he wants to be. And then he goes on a Halloween adventure with a old childhood friend who he had a falling out with. And so you kind of learn about these two through their old friendship and who Corey is now. And then it's kind of him figuring out, like, you know, who his real friends are as well. And you see the backstory of him and Jonah as well. It's like I said, it plays out kind of like a fairy tale, because that's what I felt like I was watching. It had this very innocent music behind it. Again, another gorgeously shot movie. Like, if I could count the money shots in this movie, it has more money shots out of any of the movies I saw. And when I say money shot, it's just like, you know, that image that's gonna pop in your head, or usually the image they used to promote the movie. Like, you know what I'm talking about, the money shot. And this one has like 7 of them. Such a gorgeous movie. Like I said, this festival was just a dream for me. It was all these art house movies that I was really into and stuff. Super awesome. Just you know, and it was one of the more popular movies from the festival, especially, you know, Alicia Malone. Shout out to a fellow Aussie. She was super excited for this. Australia had about 5 different movies at this festival that all gained a lot of really good reception. Hounds of Love, which won Best Movie, which is a movie I did not catch, took home Best Movie. So all the Australian horror films had a lot of really good reception behind it. And Lost in the Trees is a very good movie. I can definitely see myself watching it again. Like I said, though, it was the lightest and least scary movie here. And I definitely wanted more of the supernatural elements and stuff, because you really don't get it until the end, like what's really going on. Because the story is kind of all over the place a little bit. But Boys in the Tree, it's a very good movie. Very well directed and written. Very well acted. Very pretty. Just it's a solid movie. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm underselling it a little bit, and I think I liked it more than I'm giving it credit for. I think it was just my expectations going in. Definitely check out Boys in the Trees. Now, I won't spend a lot of time talking about this next movie, because it is the one movie that I gave a negative score, and it's still not a terrible movie. I just found it very boring. But it's called The Killing Ground. It's one of those manhunt man movies, so I thought it would be interesting, because I always like to see how those play out. And it's fine. It's basically this couple goes on a camping trip, and they stumble across a crime, which you also see in the movie. So it's like there's like 2 different movies of the same thing happening, just it happening to different people. And I know it was trying to be smart, but it just kind of made it really weird and confusing. But yeah, that's pretty much what this movie is. It's all in the woods, as some interesting characters in, because like the people that are hunting the couple, they actually get some backstory, and the 2 killers give the best performances of the movie. And also it has a very powerful female lead in it. The final girl in this, she was very capable and, you know, handles the situation very well. And maybe I would have enjoyed this movie more if I would have played the immersive game that was going on, because this festival was not just about the movies, guys. It was about having an experience. They had, like I said, they have these VR experiences. They have these like interactive horror experiences. But then there was a game going on throughout the whole weekend, and pretty much it was like a manhunt for a murderer. So you'd see people meeting up so that way they can score points, and if you win the game, you like won this IFC swag bag with a bunch of cool stuff in it. Maybe if I would have played the game, I would have enjoyed the movie a little bit more, but the movie was a little bit boring. So, you know, The Killing Ground, if you want to check it out, that sounds like something interesting to you, check it out. It was another Australian movie as well. So like I said, Australia was definitely well represented, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. But that's literally the only movie that I didn't really enjoy. It might have also been because I fell asleep during it a little bit. So, you know, sorry to The Killing Ground, but check it out if you'd like. And then the last movie that I closed out the festival with, it was the very last movie I watched, is a little movie called The Bar. It is a Spanish movie, actually. There wasn't too many foreign films here, which I was foreign language films, so I was kind of upset with that. But The Bar is written and directed by Alex de la Iglesia. Haven't seen any of his movies, but definitely plan on checking out more, because I hear they're just as weird and crazy as this one. The Bar is a super fun movie. So pretty much the premise of The Bar is there are a group of strangers trapped inside of a bar. two people try to leave and get shot in the head. So now everybody is worried about the sniper outside the bar, but meanwhile, inside the bar, all these different personalities are clashing, and they're turning on each other and getting crazy, and this movie like just keeps escalating to different levels of craziness, and it's literally all from the characters. Like I said, this festival had a lot of movies that really focused on the horror of humanity, and that's pretty much what this movie is. Like, these people start going crazy, they start turning on each other, shit starts hitting the fan, and it's literally all because these people keep making assumptions. It's super awesome. The dialogue in it is very funny. A lot of the performances in it are really good as well. From this, strange ensemble cast. I mean, you got young people, you got old people, you got a homeless dude, you got all these different characters in it. There was one character that was not my favorite. She was very annoying, and you'll know exactly who I'm talking about if you watch this movie. But other than that, though, this movie, it's very fast-paced. And again, it's one of those movies that like a lot happens, and it's only about an hour and 35 minutes, I think, an hour and 40 minutes, and a lot of shit gets crammed into this movie. It's a very simple premise. It is a one setting movie, but there's levels to the setting, and you'll understand that if you watch the movie as well. I don't want to spoil it for you though. It's kind of fun going into this movie blind, because I really didn't know anything about it or anything about the director or the style of it. This probably had the most comedy out of any of the movies I saw, aside from Like Me, because Like Me is also very funny. But The Bar is super funny, super bloody, very tense as well. If you like single location, isolated movies, The Bar is definitely the movie for you. So check it out. And like I said, I'm super excited to hear or watch any other movies from Alex de la Iglesia. Man, I am terrible at pronouncing some of these foreign directors' names. And then last but not least, like I said, this festival was not just about the movies. It's about the experience. And the buzz of the festival was this horror experience called Blackout. People were very excited for this. This is a very popular extreme horror house, essentially. Basically, it's a 35-minute experience. You go in alone and you are put through this thing. I kept saying that I was going to try it out and that I was going to do it. I never got around to it because it got booked up so fast. Like, people were super excited for this. Apparently, it's really popular. It's been around for about 8 years or so. And you're put through this experience, and the people can touch you and stuff. You have to sign a waiver beforehand. Like, this shit's real. Like, this shit's hardcore. And I'm standing in the lobby, and then a guy comes up to me. He runs down the stairs. He is sweating and panting. His eyes are red. His shirt is on fucking backwards, and his shoes are untied. And he just, comes down the stairs, and he, stops in front of me. He's breathing super hard, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And I was just like, sup, man? And he just goes, blackout. And I was just like, hold on one sec, I'm going to go grab my bag. I need to record you. So let's go ahead and cut to my little interview with Mr. Tom Kircher after, this is literally 5 minutes after he gets out of blackout. All right, guys, so something that's been setting the Overlook Film Festival apart from all the other festivals is this is not just about the film. It's about the experience as well, because there's an immersive game that's going on the entire weekend. They got all this different cool stuff. They have storytelling segments, and then there are some extreme horror experiences. One of them is the famed Blackout. You might have heard that one. It came around back in 2009-ish, I believe. From New York, and it's been making waves. It's a 30-minute extreme horror interaction, and I just found somebody who ran down the stairs at me and just stopped in front of me, and he's like, dude, blackout. And I got to hear the details on this. So what's your name, man?
I'm Tom Kircher. Yeah,
Tom Kircher from
currently Orange County, California, Chapman University.
Nice. Like I said, I absolutely loved your reaction to it. So what makes Blackout so special?
Well, I had done my first Blackout back in 2014. It was this one that they did where under normal circumstances they make you go in alone, and that was the case at the one that they have at the festival. But I had done one where you go in a group, and it was the first sort of extreme haunted house, immersive theater kind of thing that I had ever done. And it was just so exhilarating. And then when I found out it was here, I had to come. It is such an insane, visceral, and psychological experience. And they put you in sort of like the worst kind of nightmare situation that I feel like anyone could possibly be in. And I think the thing that's most terrifying about it is it's not something about like ghosts or demons or cults or something like that. It's about like real people and the horrible shit people do to each other. And it's very graphic and very just frightening and horrifying and awesome.
Yeah, guys, this thing is the real deal. Like, for real, like, you sign a waiver and everything beforehand. You can't be a bitch. Like, you got this thing is for real. They put their hands on you, correct?
Yes. Oh yeah. It is very physical. It is very intense. They blindfold you. They put their hands on you. They made me put my hand in the toilet and get a key. They made me do some intense shit. It's really, really intense, and it's very physical and very visceral and very just insane.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like the very first extreme horror house I had heard of was McManny Manor.
Yes.
And that one has a super big reputation. That one can go on for hours, and you have to do a psych evaluation before and afterwards of it, which is fucking nuts. And I was just like, I don't know if that's for me. But like the past year or so has been whenever I've like really gotten into horror movies, and then now the idea of it is more and more enticing, and I think you might have convinced me. Fuck. But I mean, my hair. I don't want them to touch my hair.
They touch you all over, dude.
Tom came down with his shirt backwards, guys. His shoes were untied and his shirt was fucking backwards. Like, what?
Yeah, because one of the things, one of the instructions that I got when I went in, I don't know how much I should. When are you posting this, by the way? Is this going to be posted after the event?
Yeah.
Okay. So they make you take your shoes off and you take most of your clothes off, and you're in just sort of the most vulnerable state, and you have to sort of just witness just this really horrific thing. And it's so grounded in a sort of reality, and it's not, like I said, it's not ghosts or demons or ooky spooky kind of shit. It's very sort of real crime kind of stuff, and that's what I think fascinated me about Blackout to begin with, and I think that's why it terrifies me so much, because I'm not scared of ghosts or demons or aliens or all that shit. I'm frightened of the horrible things that people do to each other, and Blackout is entirely about the horrible things that people do to each other and the horrible things that they will do to you in the process.
Man, that's insane. Like, it really is. I mean, that's like, kind of the horror movies I like too. Like, whenever you're put in the real situations, and you ask yourself, what would you do in that situation? And I guess this game kind of puts it there. Thank you so much for talking to me. Do you have a Twitter or anything, man?
Yes, at Tom Kircher, Kircher.
Guys, go follow Tom Kircher, and I will bring you guys some more information about the festival. I might have to do it myself, and I will let you guys know what I think. Catch you guys later. Yeah, so I didn't get to do it myself, but I mean, his description of it, and Perri told me about her experience as well, just from hearing about it and what it was like and seeing people's reactions from it. Apparently, it's amazing. I kind of regret that I didn't get to do it, but at the same time, like, by the time I actually had time to do it, I just wanted to catch up on movies. So as soon as I hear Blackout get close to me or come to Missouri, I will definitely do it because it sounds awesome. I really wish I would have gotten that experience, but I could only do so much in so little time because this festival literally had it all, guys. I mean, it had movies, it had experiences for you. The parties we threw are off the chain, and I'm not being biased because I was the one throwing the parties or helping throw the parties. We had so many, just so many fun memories, and being up in Mount Hood, it was gorgeous. Like, you guys know me, I fucking hate the snow, and it was just super gorgeous. It was very fitting, a very fitting tribute to Stanley Kubrick, because like I said, I've said this before on the show as well. Stanley Kubrick may not be my favorite director, but he is definitely my most respected director, and you really saw that in the fans that came out for this festival. Like, everybody was so into it. I saw so many different Overlook patterned clothes clothing. It was just, oh my goodness, it was so much fun. It was amazing just being around a bunch of horror nerds like myself and having a fun experience. I got to get away and I kind of got a glimpse of what things could be like in the future for me. So I cannot wait to return to the Overlook Film Festival next year, and you should do the same thing. Like, if you missed out on this, and it's mainly because, like I said, I mean, I didn't even hear about it until about 5 weeks before it actually happened. So I will definitely make sure I promote it next year because you should definitely go to this. It was super fun. I got to meet so many awesome people, meet a bunch of amazing friends. It's a fucking trip that I'll never forget. Like, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience for my very first film festival. So I hope you guys enjoyed my coverage of it. I can't wait to do more of these film festivals because, like I said, I had an absolute blast doing these. So looking forward into the future, make sure you check out the Overlook Film Festival, see some of the highlights, see the movies that I was telling you about. But that'll go ahead and do it. It was crazy, super awesome, amazing week, or 5 days rather. Can't wait to see all the friends that I made there again. But that'll go ahead and do it for this episode, guys. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at Deezus12 and the podcast Twitter at Deezus Take the Reel. Make sure you are following me on both of those and my Instagram as well. You can see some of the pictures that I took during the festival or that were taken of me. We had such a fun time, so make sure you check out some of that stuff on Instagram. And I'll keep posting about the movies I saw as well. And that'll go ahead and do it. Enjoy my new outro, motherfuckers. Thank you so much for listening to Deezus Take the Reel, the dopest movie talk show on the internet. You can find me every Tuesday on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play Music, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. If you like what you're listening to, write a 5-star iTunes review, and I'll read it on the Deez and T Money Show, which is every other Friday. And of course, spread this with ya homies. Last but not least, stay till the end for a little pre-recording something. Peace out, motherfuckers. But niggas creeping, and they gon' find you, gon' catch you sleeping. Oh, now stay woke, niggas creeping. Now don't you close your eyes, but stay woke.